My name is Kevin Bell. I own Oregon Iceworks. Oregon Iceworks makes non-dairy frozen desserts, and essentially it's a spin-off of water ice that I used to eat growing up in Philadelphia. And when I moved to Oregon, I noticed that there was no such thing here. So I decided that I'd be the guy to make it, and using local fruits instead of what we do in Philly, which is natural flavors and corn syrup and additives to try and get a product to where we want it to be. I go the all natural route because here on the West Coast it just makes more sense, and it's the better way to go for people's health. If you're going to eat a dessert, it might as well be a natural dessert, and with the amount of fruit that I use and everything, I think it's probably the healthiest treat out there. So you know, that's what I do. We also spin coconut milk ice cream, which wasn't in the exact mold of what my idea was, but with the popularity of some of the other coconut milk ice creams on the market, I just felt like it was the right way to go, and people seem to really enjoy it. So that's good. I moved to Portland, Oregon because I read a magazine article about Portland, Oregon, right behind the magazine article about New Zealand. I originally wanted to move to New Zealand, and I had just gotten a puppy, you know, and I didn't want to take my dog through quarantine. I had been, it's funny, like I read this magazine article about 6 months before I moved to Portland. I was in a dead-end sales job. It wasn't a dead-end sales job. It was a great opportunity. I just didn't feel comfortable in what I was doing anymore. And after a certain period of time, they let me go because it was pretty evident that I didn't feel comfortable in what I was doing anymore. So at 26, I had no girlfriend, a dog, and unemployment. So things just kept lining up that pointed towards Portland. Friends came and mentioned stuff about Portland. You know, I kept seeing things pop up. Just all signs kind of pointed there. So I booked a plane ticket, flew out here, found a place to live, and took a three-week road trip across country with my best friend and my dog. And it was fantastic. You know, it was the best trip I've ever been on, and I've been to a lot of places. So I just leaped at it. And when I flew out here and saw the place, I'd never seen anything so green before in my entire life. It's one of the most beautiful places in the country, but it's really wet, so you don't really want to move here. I swear, because it's really cold, and like it's June right now, and it may look sunny, but it's only like 70 degrees. I'm wearing a thermal. You know, so stay in California or Colorado or wherever you may be. But you know, I had found Portland to be the place for me, and I love it here. Not to knock Philadelphia, I miss home sometimes, but it's a wonderful place to live. Good people, great food, and there's a real sense of community. Coming from Philadelphia, this is a town. It's not a city, and that's what I found appealing. I really enjoy that town atmosphere. So I don't see anywhere else I'd rather be, except when it's raining, you know, in May, and I'm wishing that I had my ice cart in San Diego. But then I'd have to live in San Diego, and I really don't want to do that. So, you know, it's a give and take type of situation. Hurdles. Well, I've had a lot of personal hurdles within my life on the struggle of just trying to find yourself in general and what you want to do. My background's in sales and marketing. I did that for years, and selling construction equipment. And the reality was I wasn't quite true to myself when I was younger. I really enjoyed playing football, and so I continued to do that through high school and college. But I decided to go to football practice instead of culinary school when I was a kid, and what I really always wanted to do was cook for people. I don't know why, I always enjoyed it. I think there's certain people that just like making other people happy, you know, and food is a really easy way to do that. You give somebody something, they smile, it's instant gratification. So, you know, I decided to go a different route in the beginning of my professional career, and I've kind of turned it back around. and doing something I really love, and that to me seems to make all the difference. Hurdles in the business world, money's always an issue, especially on small startups. Capital is a concern, and when you're cutting it really close, it's whether or not you're going to make those ends meet, and taking leaps that, it's a roll of the dice on whether or not you're going to get a return on it. But sometimes you have to roll the dice to know if it's going to hold weight. So without risk, there's no reward. So I just kind of try and keep faith in what I'm doing, and that I'm doing something good and people like it. And as long as you got a little bit of faith in what you're doing and a belief, then I think you're probably going to be okay. And if not, then it just wasn't meant to be. So I'm pretty happy with where I'm at right now, though, hurdles and all. Well, the location has been an issue for us from the start. I found a location in Selwood last summer that I was really happy with, mainly due to the demographic. It's a lot of families. The folks there are my demographic, but there just weren't that many people. The foot traffic wasn't heavy enough to support a business where you're counting on volume, because your margin is so small. When you're selling plates at $10 a piece, you're doing much better for yourself when you sell 30 plates than when you're selling scoops for $2 a piece and you sell 30 scoops. You still have the same bills as everybody else, so you have to move more volume. So making a change up here was difficult, and it tripped me up a little bit, because I didn't want to leave those folks in Selwood. I felt like I had a bond with those people, but I had to do what I needed to do for the business. And expanding into wholesale market has been difficult. I thought it would be a little bit easier, because I think you have to have that positive frame of mind when you're going into something, that you can do anything, and I really believe that anything's possible. It's kind of my motto. But it's proved a little challenging in some respects, but the work that we put in over the last few months has really paid off now, and we're starting to see more return on all that work, and that's usually how it goes. You got to work a while before you start seeing returns. So I've been pretty happy in that respect, but those are the major things that have tripped me up, and the hurdle of just what I do, because the popularity of shave ice within Portland or the West Coast, I underestimated. And naming my place Oregon Ice Works, half the people that walk up think it's a shave ice cart, and what we do is far from shave ice. It's much more gourmet, I think, along the gourmet line, and it also, it's real. In shave ice, you're pouring corn syrup over top of a fluff cone, and I ate snowballs all the time when I was a kid, but I wanted to have something a little bit more substantial. And it's an education process, teaching people about what I do and why I do it, and why I love it so much, and I hope that they do too. So, those are some of the things that trip me up. Not to be too long-winded. To be honest, the best resources for me have been fellow business owners and people I consider mentors, that have owned businesses for years and have been successful in those endeavors, and maybe not in everything they've done, but through trial and error they've come to understand what works and what doesn't. One of my friends has electrical background, runs an electrical construction firm. One of my friends owns a catering business. And in the food cart community, friends of mine who own food carts and have been successful and managed to pull this off, making a living out of a box, is a pretty amazing thing, and I think a lot of us are just trying to make ends meet and make the money that we can, and to perpetuate it. But the reality is, you start a business for long term, not short term, and I don't want to be here 3 years and then gone in 4. I'd love to be doing this for 20. and making kids happy, and have the same kids that started eating this stuff when they were 2 coming back at 22 and just as excited about summertime in Oregon, and Oregon Iceworks being part of that. So, but that's where I find guidance is in other people who have been there and done that, and the people who are in the struggle with me now. Talking with them on a regular basis and seeing what they're doing and asking for advice. Being humble enough to ask and say I don't know is huge for me, because if I stop doing that, I'm lost. Because the reality is I don't know a lot. I don't know a lot. But what I do know, I try and stick by. So every day is learning, new experience every day. Good way to phrase it. I really don't feel like I'm in front of too many abysses. If I painted that picture, I apologize. It's actually been a fun, wild, neat ride. We've only been open a year, just over, and kind of the amount of people that know about us, the amount of return customers, I'd say we've almost built like a cult following, because we haven't had huge print advertising. We haven't had a ton of media blast success through social media and everything. Yeah, we've got a small group of people that follow us in the grand scheme of things, but they're incredibly loyal. And I see the same faces come back again and again, and that's huge to me. But right now, the major abyss that we're going to jump off of is we just signed up with Whole Foods to be in their dipping cabinets in the Northeast Portland Hollywood store on Sandy Boulevard, and that's the first store. And it's a new step for me, and it's going into the grocery stores and kind of testing that market. I've been hesitant about it because it's a very big thing, but I think it's the best way to get our product out there without having huge overhead in labor expenses and trying to staff multiple units. We've got a mobile cart now, we've got this cart, and we've got other carts around town selling our goods. We'll have bicycles around town selling our stuff out of the icicle, tricycle type of thing. I think we're calling it Oregon Ice Trikes. So, but the Whole Foods step is much more intimidating and daunting to me. But they've been incredibly supportive, and they've been able to work with me. So I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a good leap into the abyss, but where it leads 5 years from now is the real interesting question. But for the moment, it's a neat abyss to leap into. And if you're not excited about that type of thing, then I don't know, maybe you shouldn't be in business. It's the support I get from the customers that I do have. The customers that are loyal and the growing fan base that come back again and again. And like the little 2-year-old girl that just dragged her whole family over here after her mom let her have a scoop and told dad that he had to get something and told sister that she had to get something. That's what makes me happy. It makes my soul smile. And if I can do that on a regular basis and know that it goes back to that whole cooking for other people thing. If I can make little kids happy in the summertime because I made something sweet for them, that's amazing, and I can be a part of their story, their childhood, and I think about it on that level. What am I really contributing? And being able to do charity events like we're doing on Tuesday is huge for me. With the CCA, I mean, that's something I dreamed about before I even opened it. It was our original goal, and it took a year to get there, but we're going to do it. And it's stuff like that that keeps me going and motivated, and the opportunity to succeed, beyond what I could even imagine. Because I think that's possible for anybody as long as you keep putting one foot forward. The mentors that I have that I mentioned before inspire me. you know, I kind of want to be where they're at some point. I grew up in a single parent household. My mother inspired me a lot. Watching her struggle through everything and work in endless hours to give us everything. You know, it was really selfless. And I don't think I really understood until I found this. I started this, because a lot of what I do doesn't always have a return on the investment of time, you know, but you have to do it. So it's almost selfless in it. You sacrifice yourself for the business for a little while until you can start getting more help, you know. So my mother and my mentors, I'd have to say, would be the short list. But you know, I always loved watching Michael Jordan. I always loved Muhammad Ali. You know, I don't know, sports figures, because I have a sports background, and that athletic mindset that you got to train and push, and when game day comes, you got to play. So those were the things that inspired me as a child, and then I guess they kind of grew up to finding real people who were doing it in life rather than on a playing field. Because as we all know, some of those guys on the playing field weren't the best people off. And I try and find people that are both. You know, they excel in business and they're also good people. They have great families, good relationships with others, and they give. And that's what I want to aspire to. So I try and keep people like that around as much as possible.